So we're back here with Ronnie on we're on part number two, getting started. So this is video number two. We're gonna do a series here where new people join and we're gonna just go step by step over everything you need to get started. And today's we're gonna go over the five different offers and why we believe this business is the best business to get started in. So today we're gonna go over that. But Ronnie, how you feeling, man? Since you got started, how you feeling?
Good, good. Yes, I'm excited and expecting, the best. I'm learning great with the video. I like the videos because it's detailed and really good, understandable and step by steps.
Awesome, man. If you have any like questions at all, I want you to just interrupt me while I'm talking. So just if you have any questions so that because other people probably have the same questions.
Great, great. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So we're gonna get into why creative I call it creative real estate investing, our five offer system is the best way to get started. Because first and foremost, you're not using your own cash, you're not using your own credit, so you can actually flip houses and even cash flow them, like turn them into Airbnbs, turn them into rental properties, and you can actually do that without your own cash, without getting your credit checked. You can have bad credit, and also you can do this business. Yes, you could pick up rental properties without even getting into debt. So we're going to talk about we're just going to go overview of the five different offers and how they work, and then and that I think that's important. Like if you even if you had like millions of dollars in the bank, like today, eventually you're gonna run out. Like especially if you're buying houses. When I got started, uh, when I started actually buying rentals property, I had a great credit. I had saved up a lot of money, but I eventually bought like 10 rentals and eventually I ran out of money to buy more property. So I think it's the best thing to do when you get started is learn strategies where you don't need money because you can keep going, right? Because once you maxed out your amount of loans that banks will give you and maxed out your credit and maxed out all the cash you have in the bank, eventually you're going to run out no matter how much cash you have. You can have 10 million in the bank, eventually you're going to run out of that, right? So that's why this business is the best, is because you can do as many as you want. Like if you don't need cash or credit, it's unlimited, right? It's all up to you on finding the deals and finding properties, right? So we're gonna go over, I'm inside the CRM, so I'm gonna go over the five different offers and just how they work and just go over in detail how our system works. So I'm inside the CRM right now, and this is like the our five offer system where we make offers to owners. So first and foremost, we're gonna go over the cash offer. Do you have any questions about the cash offer, like how it works, like wholesaling? So what we're doing is basically we get a property, we make an offer, we get it under contract, and during our contract period, we have the right to assign it to another person for a higher price, or we can actually double close on it with our funds and then resell it at a higher price. And we'll usually assign it if it's like the assignment fee is like less than 20 grand. But if the assignment fee is like 50 grand or more, we'll double close it. And what you guys get also is access to our double closing funds. So if you need funds for double closing, we actually provide that for you. So just know when you're out there making offers, you have the funds to actually close on all these deals. So when you're negotiating with sellers, like you're ready, you have the funds and you don't have to pretend to the seller and say, that and lie to them that you don't have it, right? So do you have any questions on the cash offer and how it works?
No, no. I
No?
understand.
You understand it? Okay. So what I'm gonna do is kind of just simplify it, because there's just kind of get like a diagram how it works. So what we're doing is, so if you ever purchase a house before, you have to get a contract signed, right? You bought a house before, right?
Yes, yes.
So you have the purchase contract. So I'm just call it PC, right? And you could have sold the house that you live in, like when you had it under the house that we live in now, I had it under contract. It was new construction, but we had it under contract like 6, 7 months. Now, if someone came along and said, I want your house, I'll pay you, 20 grand for your, let's say I have it under contract for 300,000, right? Now, if someone came along and said, I want to pay you 30 grand for your property, I can just write up what is called an assignment agreement. And what this assignment is basically it's just saying, hey, I'm assigning this purchase contract to you for a whatever fee that you negotiated, a $30,000 fee. For $30,000, you are taking over this purchase contract, and you're going to take my position as the buyer on this purchase contract. And that's a simple explanation of what an assignment is. And that now the end buyer is the one that takes your place, right? So that's an assignment. A double close, we would have to get involved in the deal. Like sometimes seller, let's say you have a deal and the seller, you have like a $30,000 assignment fee. Sometimes, yeah, the seller is going to have an issue with that. Like, no, I don't, I'm not letting you make $30,000 fee, or maybe the buyer has an issue with that. So you need funds to close. You need money to close on the first transaction, and that's where we can come in with the funds, and we'll actually close. So instead of an assignment, we're going to have a so for the double close, we're going to have a second purchase contract. And this is going to be for the higher price. So this is going to be for 330,000. So there's no assignment fee. We are actually funding it, closing, and then you're selling it again. So we own the property for 5 minutes, and then we resell it. So yes, sometimes you're gonna have to do that. Especially if you have big spreads. You don't want the seller to find out how much you're making, or the buyer. And what's good with us is that you have these funds available that you can close these transactions, right? Um,
I have a question. I have a
yeah,
question.
go
So
ahead.
you like, if the buyer say I don't want to pay the fee, so by you giving the price and putting the fee anyway, so you know, I just understand like, so you think that they're gonna agree with the price with 33 with 330?
So when we advertise, we don't advertise our fee. So in our marketing, in our ad, I'm just gonna market this for 330. So
Right,
I'm not gonna advertise my fee. So if the price works at 330, we don't tell them our fee until they want to move forward and they sign the assignment agreement. And if they have an issue with our fee, we just tell them, hey, it's, you agreed to 330, that's the purchase price, it's staying at 330. So usually we don't have a problem with buyers. Usually the issue would be investors really don't, most of them don't care what you make. It's the sellers that you may have an issue with. And how do you
right.
position it? Like, so that you can go to closing where there's no issue with the seller. How you position it is like, hey, we are investors, we buy properties, we also partner with other investors that may end up putting the funds in and buying the property. So we may assign it to one of our investors. So we don't know what we're going to do with it yet. We might buy it ourselves, flip it, or we might assign it to one of our partners that we work with. So you position yourself up front with the seller when you sign the contract like that. So that when we do go to closing and they see the assignment fee, there's no issue because you already disclosed that up front, right? That makes
Right.
sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So that's how the wholesaling works with assignments and double closing. So this would be a double close. And the reason we sometimes want to avoid a double close because it costs money. So if we double close in Chicago, even small deals can end up costing us like 5 grand to maybe 10 grand in closing costs, and that takes away from our fee, our assignment fee. So you know, you got to make sure you have a big spread in order to do a double close. You can't do it on small deals. Okay. And then as well, we have so the cash offer also comes into play with you can use this for uh the hedge fund buyer that we have that's doing fix and flips. So they want to be at 65% of after rehab value minus repairs. So if you actually want to do a fix and flip yourself and partner with the hedge fund buyer that we have, this is the formula that you need to reach in order to get them to fund uh the rehab. And we form partnerships. So the hedge fund buyer gets 50%, me and you would be splitting 25-25. And they actually go ahead and they buy it, they'll rehab it, they'll put it on the market so as high as possible. And then we get 25% of the profit that comes in. And what's cool about that is like you don't have to invest any of your own money. You don't have to pay the holding costs, the taxes. Usually the hard part, you know, when you're buying fix and flips is you got to pay the interest every month, the taxes, the insurance. So it costs a lot of money, right? And now with our hedge fund buyer, you don't have to do that. So when it comes with the cash offer, this is a option as long as you hit this formula here. Okay.
Right.
Now with wholesaling, you can go as high as like 75%, like if you're doing a wholesale deal. So you can actually go higher. So you can see, um, like we're gonna go over the CRM in later trainings, but you can change the formula to in the CRM to a higher amount. Okay. So how the cash offer works typically is you take after rehab value, we call that ARV, and it's going to be anywhere from times 0.65 to maybe 0.75%, depending on the area, minus the rehab cost. And what's cool about our CRM is that it comes up with the offer for you, the rehab costs, and then you just plug in the percentage and the comps to get after rehab value, and then minus your wholesale fee. So that's how the formula works, minus your fee. So if you want to make 20 grand fee, you would subtract that out, right? So that's basically how the formula for the cash offer works. And the reason why, you know, we're at 65 to 75% is that investors need to make a profit in order to flip the house, right? They're taking on all the risk, they're bringing in all the money, they're paying all the taxes, the holding costs, so there needs to be some profit for an investor, right? So that's the cash offer. Do you have any questions about that on in any of that, how that works or?
Good.
Yeah, so did you ever know that you can flip a house without using your own cash before or no?
No, no. Actually, I got some friends that like they fix house. They know how fix it, everything, the cabinet, plies and all the stuff. They doing the floor, painting, and that's was my idea about flipping. I didn't know this way of flipping.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that you can actually flip a house without even doing anything to it. Like you don't even have to you don't have to you don't have to fix it up or anything. Not even use your own cash or credit, right?
Right.
So the cash offer, I would say, we have a hierarchy, like this is the best, these two are the best offers, the sandwich rent to own and the cash offer, because you're going to make the most profit out of these two. So whenever you're going into negotiation with a seller, we always lead with one of these two here, right? So, um, um, and then we kind of have it where the next offers, you know, will make less profit, and then the option listing offer it's like full retail, you know, we're selling to a retail buyer, so it may not even sell, so you may not make any profit on this. Um, and then the Airbnb offer, which is we manage Airbnbs for owners and we get a percentage of the profit. But all these offers require no cash and no credit. And you can turn deals into getting paid every week, or you can turn deals where you just flip them, get paid once. But next offer, we're gonna go over the sandwich rent to own, so you understand it. Um, do you have any questions on the sandwich rent to own offer, how it works right now?
No, no, I'm clear with that.
Okay, so sandwich rent to own. And you guys can use this offer as also like if you want to do owner financing or subject to, or I don't personally do that because I don't believe in getting into debt. I rather stay debt free. Rent to own is I have an option to buy. I'm not obligated to buy the property. Now, if you do a subject to or you take over the deed, you become the owner and you're obligated to pay the debt or you lose the house, right? So with rent to own, it's an option to buy. You're not obligated to actually buy the property. You can tell the owner, hey, this doesn't work anymore, or maybe there's no equity or it's not cash flowing, you want to walk away, you can actually walk away from the deal. So sandwich rent to own, how we negotiate these are um uh we have to negotiate the price. We have to negotiate the monthly rent, of course. We have to negotiate the term for how long it's going to be. We have to negotiate the down payment, like how much they want for down payment. Um, so these four items, and then there's other things we can negotiate as far as we add these in when we're negotiating, like you can do repairs, which is like you can agree to like, hey, I'll agree to the first 300 per month in repairs. Anything over that, you take care of it. Anything under that, we'll take care of it. So it's all negotiable. And then percentage of rent that goes towards the principal. So you can actually have, if whatever you negotiate, you can negotiate like 50% of all the rent you pay goes towards paying down the price, right? Like I've had deals where I got like 50%, 40%, 30% where it negotiated the price down. And if you ever got a mortgage before, the first like 7 years, you're paying very little principal down. You're paying all interest basically. So this, if you negotiate a good percentage of rent going towards the principal, it's better. A lot of times it's better than having a mortgage because you're paying the principal down faster. I know some people that did 100%. I never got 100% before, but you can actually get 100% of all the rent go towards the purchase if you negotiate that with the owner. So you kind of need to get these points. So you with a sandwich rent to own, it's like you become the owner of the property. Like you control the rent, you control the cash flow for the certain amount of terms that you agree to with the owner. And these terms could be anywhere from a year to 7 years, 8 years. You negotiate how long. The longer, the better, of course. So the longer you can get a rent to own, the better, because you control it. The longer you control it, the more likely it's going to appreciate, the more likely you're going to have more equity, more the rents go up, so the rent will go up as well. Um, so I'm going to give you an example of how this works. So let's say there's a property that's worth uh let's say the property right now is the owner. So there's the owner, what they want, there's you're in the middle, and then there's going to be the retail amount, like what it's worth and the rent. So let's say this property is worth 330, right? And the owner agrees to 300 on the purchase price. So right away, I got 30,000 in equity to in equity that I can walk into on this deal, right? I checked the comps, I checked the after rehab value, and we'll show you how to do that. But walking into 30 grand of equity right away is great, right? And let's say the market rent is at the highest the market rent can go is, let's say, 3,000 a month. And then the owner agrees to, let's say they agree to 2,600 because you negotiated them down a little bit. So there's 400 a month in cash flow, right? And you can interrupt me. You can interrupt me if you have any Wait, are you seeing my page?
Sure, sure. Yes, yes, I'm with you. I'm here.
Did you see it? I don't think I have my notebook up. Do you see it now?
Yes, yes, that's good.
Okay. So you're negotiating price. So let's say that your price, let me share my desktop. So let's say the owner agrees to 330 and I mean 300 and the property's worth 330. So there's 30 grand in equity. And then same thing with the rent. So this is a great deal to stay in the middle of. You have 400 a month in cash flow, 30 grand in equity. So this is a great deal that I would stay in the middle of, right? Because there's cash flow, there's equity, and if I do get this deal, I can turn around and rent it to someone else and just cash flow it, hold it. I can rent to own it to someone else. I can Airbnb it and try to make more cash flow. And the next thing you want to negotiate is the term for how long. So let's say the owner agrees to 3 years. So that's great. You got 3 year term. And then the down payment. Our goal is to get the owner down to zero, of course. But let's say this owner wants 5,000 down or something, right? For a down payment. So this is a deal that you'd probably, consider that because there's equity, there's cash flow. So when you go and sell it, let's say that you turn around and you want to rent to own it to somebody else. I'm gonna sell it for full retail at 330. I'm gonna sell it for 3,000 per month. And I'm probably gonna give them maybe like a 2 year term instead of three, so that just in case they can't get the loan, I have another year to to maybe sell the property or refinance it or find another buyer, right? Then on top of that, I'm trying to get them to put more money on the down payment. So I'm trying to get a rent to own buyer that puts down, let's say 15,000, right? So right here I have 10,000 in down payment. So you can see I get profit from the down payment, I get profit from the cash flow, and I get profit from the back end when it does sell in maybe a couple years, right? Or it can be sooner. So this would be a sandwich rent to own. I rent to own it from the owner, and then I turn around and I do another rent to own with a tenant buyer. This is a tenant buyer that, maybe they can't get their own house right now. Maybe they have bad credit, but they have a down payment. They have a nice down payment, and eventually they can get a mortgage to buy it off, right? Other things you can do, let's say you don't want to put a rent to own buyer in there. You can actually invest the 5,000 here and turn around and just Airbnb it. And then instead of making 400 a month, maybe we analyze the numbers and it's making 2,000 a month, right? So this way it's not haven't sold it to anybody. So if the appreciation does go above 330, um, I can maybe end up selling it in 3 years for 380, 390, right? So you can turn around Airbnb. Of course, you have to invest in furniture. So let's say that you have to invest a down payment, and let's say that furniture costs 8,000, 9,000. So you may have to invest 10, 15,000. So you have to see, like, do I have that investment to make if I'm going to do Airbnb with the rent to own? And the next thing you can do is just rent it normally. Um, Cash flow 400 a month. That's up to you. Maybe you want to try to get the appreciation. Other thing you can do is just sell it, like list it right away. We had deals where we got the contract today and then we just put it back on the market like next week. Like literally, like you can get a deal today and you got 30 grand of equity. I got it under contract at 300. I'm gonna put it on the MLS for sale, list it, and I'm gonna list it for 330 today, right? Uh, we've done deals where we listed it right away and we also, if it didn't sell in a month, 2 months, we'll turn around, furnish it, put it on Airbnb, so it's cash flowing while it's for sale at the same time. So you can cash flow the deal while it's for sale on the market at the same time. So if it sells, you're making your 30 grand. If it doesn't sell, you're making your 2 grand a month, right? So you're happy, you're happy either way, right? So you can do kind of a strategy of both, right? So you can see like this offer is like you own the property. You can I've actually moved into like five of my rent to owns before that I
I have a
negotiate.
question.
Yeah, go
You,
ahead.
all right. My question is like, you do the a lease for 3 year or 5 years. So
Mm-hmm.
will you sell the house anytime? Like a
You can
little bit, because the lease for rent to own it can be 3 year or 5 year. But how
yeah.
we can anytime? It's
You
not
can
a break.
you can sell it in the first month if you want. Like you have an option to buy. So you can buy it anywhere from next week to the next 3 years. So you can sell it or buy or do whatever you want with it for the next, however long you have it.
All right. Like if I stay with the house for the 3 year contract or lease, what's gonna happen after the 3 year of the lease of 3 years?
So what you want to do is you want to try to sell it, like you can put it on the market before your term is over. You can look at maybe you can get a mortgage and you want to keep the property and refinance it and keep the property. You can let's say that 3 years come up and you can't get a mortgage, you can't refinance it. You try to sell it so to get your equity out, but it didn't sell. So 3 years come up, the other thing you do is go back to the owner and say, hey, I need another year. And of course, everything has to be renegotiated as far as the price, the rent, and everything here. So those are like the three options you have.
Right. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you.
Or you can just give it back. That's number four. Number four is like, oh, maybe the deal, maybe the market turned and there's no equity anymore and it's not really cash flowing that much. You can give it back to the owner and say, hey, our 3 year term is over. I'm not exercising my option to buy. So here's the property back.
Right.
Hmm. And the other things you negotiate is the repairs. So typically we'll just maybe say we'll start off with, hey, we'll take care of $200 and under per month. So all the little things, we'll take care of it. Anything over that, the owner takes care of. And if I'm doing a rent to own, I just pass this to the rent to own buyer, and they take care of the 200. So I'm not taking care of any repair here, right? And then the percentage of rent, we always try to get 10%, maybe 20% of the rent. So if you got 10%, you're getting 260 dollars per month more cash flow at the end, right? So 260 monthly, that adds up over the course of 3 years, right? And then you typically we'll give if we did a tenant, got another tenant buyer in, we'll give them zero. If they do negotiate, maybe we'll give them a few, like $100. So, but you're creating a spread here, see? So if you add up all the profits, so let's say that you do have this for 3 years. So with the rent credit and the monthly cash flow, that's additional 7,920. And the down payment is 10,000 plus the 30,000 in equity at the back end. So you end up making, if you did end up holding this for 3 years and that you got a tenant buyer and they performed and closed, you'll end up making close to 48,000, close to 50,000 in profit on just one deal. So you see, like this is probably one of the best offers where you can make a lot of profit. And this is why this is like right after the cash offer. And you only want to make these offers if the property is livable, like I can rent it out as is, rentable, because you don't want to stay in the middle of a deal that's not going to cash flow. Like well, what we do is like you want to do the deal, close on it, and then turn around and cash flow right away. You don't ever want to be in a negative situation, right? Like if the property's like a total gut rehab and they want to do owner financing or rent to own, the better thing to do is just maybe it doesn't work for the cash offer because they owe too much. The best thing to do is a straight option offer, where you just get an option on the property and offer to list it. So just going over the contracts, this is just a simple lease agreement or rental agreement. Like if you ever rented a property before, you have a rental agreement, you have a lease, and then plus this is an option to buy, right?
That's great. That's great. So we have everything. We have the contract, the lease, everything.
Yeah, so you have an option to buy. You're not obligating yourself. In your option to buy, you're going to say, you're going to put all the language in there, like I can rent the house, I can Airbnb the house, I can rent to own the house, I can sell the house. So I have an option to buy, and that's all in the agreement upfront with the owner. Okay. And you can assign this too. Let's say that you did negotiate a sandwich rent to own and you no longer want to stay in the middle of the deal. I can just find another, similar to the wholesaling like assignment. I can just find another buyer to take my position and say, hey, for 30 grand, you take my position in this rent to own, and I just assign it to them and they walk away. So you can do an assignment with this too. And that's what I'm talk about next is the lease option assignment or rent to own assignment. So the reason you do that is because let's say the property is worth 330 and he wants 330, and he won't budge, he won't come down. Same thing with the rent. He wants market rent, so he's stuck at 330, he's stuck at 3,000. There's no cash flow and there's no equity. So there's no reason for you to stay in the middle. But if you can negotiate him down on the down payment, like for 5,000 down, and you can maybe get someone for 15, 20,000 down, with the lease option assignment, your only profit is here in the down payment. And that's it. You just do an assignment, you walk away, and you just collect your 10,000 profit, and you're no longer getting cash flow. You're not staying in the middle of the deal, right? So you just assign it for a fee. And how that works is you just take this rental agreement option to buy, and then you have another buyer that has an assignment agreement for your fee. Let's say it's 10 grand fee, and you're just assigning it to the end buyer, right? So does that make sense? I know it's a lot. Does that make sense as far as how the rent to own works, how you can actually pick up properties and cash flow them um without like these are done over the kitchen table. Like these the reason I like rent to own over owner financing subject to is because subject to owner financing, you have to actually go to a title company. Usually you got attorneys involved, title companies involved. With rent to own, it's me over the kitchen table with the homeowner, and we're just negotiating. And once I get that contract signed, I become I control the deal. I don't own the property, but I control the cash flow and the equity. So it's like I own the house.
I have
And
a
that's
question. I have a question. When we have a rent to own, we can do an equity loan. It's doable.
with this, no, because you don't own the house yet. Yeah.
Right. All right.
Yeah. You don't, yeah, you don't want to do an equity loan on top. Like if let's say that you eventually refinanced it, you got a mortgage and now you own it, then you can maybe do an equity loan. But I wouldn't, I don't agree to getting into debt, so I wouldn't recommend any of that.
Right. Right. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So do you have a question about this? I know it's a lot. About any of the how it works when you negotiate. So you're negotiating these points with the seller. So when you're talking to the seller, you're trying to get them on each of these points on what they want.
You explained great, brother. Yeah, everything is clear with this. Thank you.
Awesome. And what you want to do is you want to, let's say that you can give and take, right? Like let's say he's stuck at 330 on the price. But you're able to get him down on the rent. Like, let's say there's no equity, but there's like $1,000 in cash flow, right? Like, all right, Mr. Seller, I can get you to 330, but I need the rent to be down to 1,900 a month, right? So, it's a give and take. Like, and then you can do the same thing with the percentage of rent. Like, I've done deals where I got 50% of the rent go towards the principal. And I gave him full retail because I know that a year, 2 years, 3 years, I got like 40, 50,000 in equity because half of my rent is paying down the principal, right? So it's all negotiable, all of these points on everything. And I've had terms for like deals where I had the deal for like 8 years, 7 years. I had a deal where he was upside down like 100 grand, and we got a 7 year rent to own on like a 3 unit building, and we Airbnb'd that thing for like I think 4 or 5 years before we got rid of it. And by the time we sold it, 5 years of holding it, it actually had some equity, right? So you can get deals that are upside down, like upside down means like they owe 300 and the property's only worth like 200, right? Because maybe the market went down or something like that. Or they didn't fix the property up to keep it up to standard, right? And now it needs a lot of work. So sandwich rent to own offer is one of the best, and it can make the most more so a lot of times this makes more profit than the cash offer. And then the rent to own assignment or lease option assignment, again, uh there's no equity, there's no cash flow. Your only negotiation at that point is the down payment. So you tell the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, I understand, you don't want to move forward with our rent to own offer. But what I can do is we have clients that are looking for rent to owns, and what happens is I help them find deals, and they pay me a fee for finding them a property they can move into. Are you open to us finding a rent to own buyer for your property? And he goes, yes. Um, you just have to negotiate all these terms to, make sure the price, the rent work. And you don't ever want to be like a lot of owners are unrealistic. Like they think their property is worth 500 grand, or that the market rent is 4,000 when it's only three. So if they're unrealistic, you have to show them the numbers. Like, hey, Mr. Seller, these are the comps. Like, there's no property that's sold for 500,000. The properties in your area are worth 330, 300. Here's the comps. And if their seller is really unrealistic, you just have to move on and follow up, because he's never going to sell it for that price, because it will never appraise, right? Because when you get these deals, you can't sell it to another rent-to-own buyer and expect them to be able to get a mortgage, because it has to appraise for the price. They're going to get a mortgage, it's going to have to appraise. If it doesn't appraise, then they can't even close on it, right? The same thing with the rent. If your rent is way too high, like the market rent, you can just go on Zillow rental calculator and get the market rent. If the rent is, like 1,000 over market rent, of course it's not going to get rented out, because other people are just going to rent other properties, right? So make sure it's not unrealistic as far as the price and the rent and the down payment. Some sellers want 50 grand down, 100 grand down, right? That's unrealistic. Like you want at the most give the owner maybe 3 to 5%, and then when you sell it at the most, maybe you're trying to get like a 10% down payment to maybe even 15%, which is high. But yeah, you can do deals with 0%. Like we've done a lot of deals where we just gave the owner maybe 1 month rent or zero down, and we're able to negotiate that. So that's how the two offers work with, and you can use these numbers, like I said, for if you want to do a subject to owner financing and get into debt, you can do that. I don't believe getting into debt, but you can do the same thing, like if with these numbers here, right? Like you can use this for subject to owner financing. I don't, uh, if you need the contracts for that, I can send that to you, but we don't personally do that because I don't believe in getting into debt. And then the next offer, the straight option listing offer. So what that is basically you have an option to buy. So it's very similar to the rent own offer, except what? There's no rental agreement. You're not renting the house. So you just have an option to buy. And let's say you got it at 100,000, and they're giving you 30, 60 days to find a buyer that you can sell above 100,000. So I go advertise this for 120, 130. And typically the option listings, the reason why, we're getting an option is because it doesn't work for the cash offer. They owe too much, or they just won't come down on the price. So you see the cash offer is 300, and then you see the lease option assignment is a lot higher at 456 because we're doing full retail. So you definitely want to get it a lot lower than this because this is like full price, full retail. The lower you get the price, the more likely it's going to sell, right? And um you can see here how the numbers go up, right? You see the sandwich rent to own offer, it went to 383 on the price. You started at 300, now you went to 383, and then the lease option assignment, which is full retail, is 456. And then the option listing is a lot higher, is 422. So you see, like, you don't ever want to send all these offers at the same time. You want to just do one at a time, because if you send all of them, you're gonna they're gonna always want to go with the higher offer, right? You want to, because these two are the best, these are the lowest price, and this is gonna make you the most profit, these two. Okay, so you only start one offer at a time and get a definite yes or no. If they say no, then you move on to the next offer. If they say yes to one of your offers, you're gonna stop. You're not gonna send them all the other offers. You're gonna just send the contract to move forward. You're not even gonna present the other offers, right? Does that make sense?
Sure, yes, of course. That's you just answered my question because I was thought that sending the all five offer at the same time, but you
No, never. Yeah,
just
never.
times.
Right. So, the straight option offer is just the option to buy. There's no rental agreement or anything, and you're just trying to get someone to, you have a purchase contract, and let's say they're selling for 120, and you're just basically assigning your option for the fee for you're gonna make your 20 grand fee. And these option listings, we do have work with nationwide brokerage that can put these. Typically, these deals are gonna just go on the MLS. Like we have probably like 20 plus properties on the MLS in different states. Like we have properties in Indiana, Florida, Illinois. I'm licensed in Illinois, so we can just do it ourselves. But we work with other brokers that will list these options, and then you know a lot of the deals are going to be option listing because it doesn't none of the other offers make sense, right? Maybe they owe too much on the house, on the property, so you just get a straight option to buy, and then we just resell. It's a very simple concept, right? And then option five is the Airbnb partnership. This is just a management offer where we're just managing it for them. And of course, you're new, so you don't have like a management team. Like that's where we come in, we can manage it for you. But we do teach you in the training how to eventually start your own management company. And what's great about this is you're not investing any of your money, you're not getting into debt, you're not buying the furniture yourself, you're just managing it for 20 to maybe 30% fee. And you're just getting the 20 to 30% of the total profit coming in every month. So if 10 grand comes in, you make 2 grand a month or 3 grand a month, right? And guess what? You guess how many deals you can pick up you get it's unlimited, right? Because you're not investing anything. Um, you're just managing it for the owners. And what's great about working with us is that we have a system already. We have VAs, we have softwares, pricing softwares, we have all the tools. We can just plug in a property and it just goes, and you can just work on getting the next one, right?
I have a
Um,
question. I
go
have a
ahead.
way. I have a question. We have a way like to pop up the property that we managing on Airbnb, like the people can see, you know, how's the works, like how the people find exactly us, or how they can choose us, you know.
When people try to book, yeah, so Airbnb is the platform. So once you once you're on Airbnb, Airbnb does all the marketing to get the guests for you, so you don't have to do any of that marketing. And what's good with us is that we've been on the platform for like 8 years and over 4,000 guests. So if you partner with us, it's going to go under our profile. So you get ranked pretty high versus being brand new with no reviews, no nothing. No one knows who you are, then it ranks lower. Yeah.
That's amazing. So and with so all of us can be listed on that on Airbnb.
Yeah, if you negotiate with a seller, um, you get them to agree to do the Airbnb. They furnish it. They have to furnish it themselves. Um, they would have to invest, into that, and that's the hardest part. I think negotiating Airbnb management is getting the owners to put up the funds to furnish it, right? So that's probably one of the most hardest parts to negotiate. And if it's a situation where 50/50 that we can invest in the owner. We just ask that they pay us the furniture cost back. Maybe in the first reservations that come in, they pay us back for the furniture costs. So we've done that on deals that make sense.
And if, what happen if you have already on Airbnb and other people is managed? So how we can
What happened? Say that again?
if they have it already on Airbnb with another people management. So if they have it already, so what we can do?
No, they would have to take it off and we would manage it if it's already on there.
All right. So
Yeah.
yes, they did, and we post it on their or hosting.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the overview of the 5 different offers. I know you got to get back to work over there. So this is how it works. So all these 5 different offers require no cash from you, no credit check. You're not getting into debt. And you can cash flow Airbnb. Like I showed you my bank account, I think we had like 29,000 and just Airbnb money come in a month. And that's where you want to be is transactional deals. I close one, I make 10 grand, and at the same time I picked up a deal making 500 a month, right? And you're doing that monthly. And then if you keep consistently do this, you're making 5 offers to everybody. Eventually, you have 10, 12 Airbnbs. You're going to be closing transactional deals as well. So you're going to be closing the transactional deals where you make 10 grand or more. And then at the same time, you're picking up that cash flow where you're able to eventually get to that point where, hey, I don't have to close a deal this month because I picked up so many rent to owns and Airbnbs, the cash flow is there. I can take the whole month off from doing this business, right? And then below, if you guys are when you're in the CRM, it's good to read this stuff. It goes over all the rent to own lease option offers and how they work. Going over all the benefits to the owner, all the, why you work with us for rent to own and for the rent to own offers. How does it work? How much is it going to cost me? So pretty much overcoming all their objections are almost like 90, maybe 90% of all the questions you're going to get are in here already. So it's good to go over this, read it, inside the CRM. And also, it goes over the Airbnb offer, how it works, and the benefits of working with us versus like renting it normally, and how it works with the Airbnb offer as well. And you can read this to them. They're like, hey, this is how the Airbnb offer works. Um, and this is most of the questions they're going to ask you are for the rent to own Airbnb offer are in here already. Okay. All right, brother. You any other questions before we end this session?
All right, that's all, man. That's great. And thank you so much. Thank you for you answering my question.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just was wondering, like, uh, that I never imagined that this way, like, like you got a system, how easy just follow you and just getting mentorship from you and doing, step by steps once again.
Yeah, man, awesome. And just know that like any help you need, support, the main thing is you need to get to the point of you're always out there talking to somebody that owns a house every day, and you're always presenting an offer every day. And once you get there, like once you realize like you can help any seller in any situation with our 5 different offers, it opens the door to like, yeah, I can talk to anybody, and eventually you become like an expert. Like I can help anybody in any situation, right? And then when you get to that point, it's like I talk to 5 sellers, I get a deal under contract every time. Every time I talk to 5 people, I get a deal. It's like, and it's like, the more deals you have under control, the more closings you're gonna have, the more money you're gonna make, right? It's like
Thank
Airbnb, right? Airbnb, Uber, Amazon, Walmart, they control. They don't own, they don't own all their products. They just control it. Like that's what we're doing here. We're just controlling the deal and we're turning around and profiting, right? So all the biggest companies in the world today, they don't own, they're controlling. Amazon doesn't own any of those products. They just take a little bit of fee from here, fee from here. Same thing with Airbnb. They don't own all those properties. It's just they're taking a fee from the owner, a fee from there. It's similar to what we're doing here, right?
All right. Thank you, brother. Yeah.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. So let's jump on the next session soon, and the next one, I think we're gonna go over. Let's see what we're gonna go over next. Next session, we're gonna go over setting up the CRM, going through Deal Machine, setting up your website, your phone number. So we're gonna go over the setup of all the systems and all that, and then the next training after that, we're gonna go over how to start contacting these leads. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Sure.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, Ronnie.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
God bless, man.
God bless you.